Good morning and welcome to the Tuesday, October 22nd regular BOCC meeting. We do begin each one of our meetings with an invocation. This morning we have Julie Wilson from Boulder Street Church, and I invite you to join us.
Yes, let's humble ourselves and pray this morning. We just say thank you, Lord, for your goodness, for your grace, and for your mercy over this city, this county, over this nation. We just humble ourselves this morning and come before you, before the throne room of a living God, and ask you to come, to rend the heavens and come down over each and every one of these ones, Father, your servant leaders, and those that have come, Lord, that we would hear from heaven. Father, that we would make decisions in accordance to your will. We thank you for these hands that serve. We ask you to bless them, watch guard over them, their families, and all that belong to them. We thank you that they're serving from the public square. And for such a time as this, Lord, we ask you to do what only you can do. In Jesus' name, amen.
And Commissioner Gonzalez, would you lead us in the pledge? Item 3.
Item number 3 is staff emergency items, and I'm unaware of any staff emergency items today. Item number 4 is changes, postponements, and notice of the next meeting. I'm unaware of any changes or postponements to today's agenda, and the next meeting will be Thursday, October 24th at 9:00 a.m. for land use, and then we will consider item number 13A at 9:40.
Madam Clerk, I'm just going to ask for a bit of clarification on the item listed as 4.
I apologize. It looks like there's item number 4 is the consent to appoint deputy district attorneys, and there are no appointments scheduled on the agenda today.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. So the item that you just read in was item 5, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Apologies.
So we are on to item 6.
Item number 6 is the consent calendar, including items 6A through 6K2.
Is there anyone here who wishes to speak on an item on the consent calendar? And seeing none, is there anyone online? Okay, I'll bring it up here for any comments or motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent calendar items 6A through K2, and also make a comment about K2, $500,000 for the widening of Bradley Road, another great project that we're endeavoring to do here in El Paso County. Thank you.
Second. I just wanted to also make a comment about our state legislative policy guide. We have a fantastic state legislative team, and they do work very hard to make sure that when we go into the state legislative session, we're getting regular updates and keeping track of the bills that might affect the county, which are plenty. And so I just wanted to make sure they knew I really appreciated what they're doing.
Okay, any additional comments? I'll call the roll. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
Vice Chair Bremer.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0. Item 7.
Item number 7 is comments by elected officials and commissioner liaison reports.
Okay, and do we have any countywide elects? I see our clerk and recorder coming down.
Commissioners, good morning. In fact, I was not going to provide an update until I got calls from our local media just asking for a quick update regarding our 2024 November general election. But before I begin, I just want to sit there and just say hello to Max Rothschild. Haven't seen you in a while, sir. So welcome back. So just a really quick update, commissioners. Yesterday, we received over 28,000 ballots. Our VSPCs are extremely busy. For example, at the Citizen Service Center, we had over 150 in-person voters just yesterday alone, which surpassed the total election in June of 2025. So things are picking up in the clerk and recorder's office. As many of you know, we passed our logic and accuracy test with 100%. And basically, this was broken down into 3 different pieces for this test, which was the purpose of it, the process, and the public transparency, where we actually ran test ballots. Over 30,000 test ballots went through each and every one of the tabulation machines. Then the judges, the bipartisan judges, cast their own ballots, and they ran them through the tabulation machines and also hand counted those ballots, and we came out 100%. So ballots were mailed, as you guys know, on October 11th. Total ballot mailed is, if you remember, about a week and a half ago, we sent out a press release that we mailed 473,000 ballots. As you know, if you could take a look there, this is what voter registration is doing in El Paso County. We are now have mailed over just shy of 489,000 ballots here in El Paso County. And I'm pretty confident leading up to Election Day here in the next 2 weeks, we should be close to 500,000. Total ballots delivered to voters were just shy of 97%. I've been reaching out to those that have yet to receive their ballot to contact us at 719-575-VOTE, which is 8683. We could definitely look at their voter registration, see what happened, and cancel their original one and get them a replacement ballot. Operational readiness is we opened up 5 VSPCs, additional 5 VSPCs yesterday morning. We're going to be opening up additional 14 coming this next week. So leading up to Election Day, we're going to have a total of 38 VSPCs located through El Paso County. The drop boxes are extremely busy. I actually had to work with Brian Olson and his team. We had some traffic jams at Guard of the Gods at the roundabout where, you know, folks are basically dropping people off or dropping supplies off. But right now we're seeing about 5-7 cars deep of folks that are just wanting to cast their ballot. So we are prioritizing the voters that are coming through there. Historically, we put signs up, you know, just don't park here, and we do that the day before the election and on Election Day. But with the backup going into the parking garage, also into the parking lot there on the north side, is we decided to go ahead and put those signs up now since we're already creating traffic jams. In-person voter centers, as I just mentioned, is right now we have a total of 6. Yesterday, there were 500 voters that voted in person at our VSPCs that opened yesterday. And I went down and met with our judges at the Citizen Service Center early this morning, and they already had 8 standing in line. So folks are visiting our motor vehicle office, register their vehicle, and casting the ballot at the same time. Cybersecurity and physical security, as you all know, is we had CISA come in and basically take a look at everything in our office, and we passed with flying colors. The only thing that our office received somewhat of a ding on, it really wasn't a ding, was placing boulders in the north parking lot, which Brian and his team did so nobody could drive over there. But for a building that large, a county our large, and being the most populous, it was pretty amazing the teamwork that's gone into this, where the only thing that CISA came down and said, maybe you want to put a couple boulders here. So that was about it. We are done with our election judge training and staffing. We have over 800 judges that we hired, and we now also have a bench. So if a judge falls ill or if they have an emergency or things like that, the judges have already been in there working. We're doing signature verification, ballot processing, and we are going to be starting tabulating our ballots here very soon. In addition to that, my staff and I have been extremely busy with voter education and community outreach. I've been doing MAC meetings, IBEW, Church of All Nations. Yesterday I was at the Colorado School for the Deaf and Blind, sharing with them how they can use our ADA accessible ICX machines, that they can vote, talking about also how to register to vote and things like that. And we have a number of events this week. Tomorrow is Citizens College, so we're really looking forward to that, where our citizens are going to be able to see a live election and process, so it's pretty busy. As I shared, anticipated voter turnout is, we're still looking at 90% turnout. And that is really looking at about 445,000 ballots that are going to be cast. We're looking at just shy of 408,000 that are going to be either cast as far as mail-in and ballot drop boxes. If a voter decides to use the USPS to return their ballot, I highly recommend that they do it by this Friday. You want to make sure that your ballot is returned to my office before 7 p.m. on Election Day, because if not, by law, we cannot accept postmarks or anything that comes in late. So I highly recommend that voters that utilize the USPS, that Friday is the deadline to do that. We're anticipating 38,000 in-person VSPC voters. And as I shared, on the first day of being open, we already saw over 500, and there's lines already starting at our Powers, our UTC location, Citizen Service Center. Fort Carson was extremely busy. So things are going extremely well. I also want to bring you up to speed as far as the impact of Senate Bill 24-131, which is titled Guns and Voting. So guns, open carry or concealed carry are no longer allowed around a ballot box or no longer allowed around a VSPC center. So any coordinated election, we put the proper signage in accordance with the Secretary of State up on the VSPC sites. And really, we have not heard too much from any citizens whatsoever in regards to this law. The impact of Senate Bill 21-072 in jail voting. This one is where I have shared with you, I've been working with our Sheriff Joe Roybal extremely close. And what we're doing is, per the statute, is we have 6 hours to facilitate everybody to become registered and to vote. And the concern that I have, and I basically shared this, is you cannot put each and every county jail into the same category as everybody else throughout the state. And we all know that our sheriff operates and is in charge of the largest jail here in the state of Colorado. We have citizens that are actually being housed here because of counties have run out of room, or there's folks that are waiting extradition, just a number of different things. However, we are going to go ahead and do in-jail voting this Saturday and Sunday. It is definitely going to take us more than 6 hours to facilitate over 1,200 inmates that want to go ahead and cast their vote. So my staff and several judges have stepped up. We're going to be at the CJC from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. We already have some registrations where we are going to be delivering the ballots to the inmates today. And Sheriff Roybal and I have an amazing plan in place where, once again, focusing on safety, security, and allowing everybody the opportunity to vote. And the reason why we picked the weekend is we don't want an inmate saying, I never had the opportunity because I was in court transit during the week. So we picked Saturday and Sunday. So we'll be out at CJC this weekend. Instructions for our voters. Some of the things that I'm seeing is we already have 400 voters that have failed to sign their signature affidavit, their ballot envelope. So they are being asked to come on in and cure their ballot. And as many know, is if they don't come in and cure their signature, then what happens is it's turned over to the district attorney to be investigated. Also, I just ask everybody to sign up for ballot tracks to, share with everyone. They could track their ballot through the whole entire process. Right now, lost or damaged ballots, I'm getting calls from folks that are, Steve, I filled my ballot out with Sharpie and it bled through. So can I get a replacement, things like that? So we're, discussing that with voters as well. But again, just read this instruction sheet and things will be, great for the voters there. Here are some election resources where, as far as voter registration, we are coming up on the deadline here very soon, which is Monday, where a voter can no longer register online. They would have to visit one of our 38 VSPCs to be able to register to vote. Also, there's a lot of information on my website, Ballot Tracks, and also the EPC VIP website. We are going live Thursday with our new website where you can actually track how each and every precinct is turning in their ballots and the turnout. So we'll be turning that information on come Thursday to the new election website. Here's the reconciliation report. Accepted mail ballot statistics, as I've shared with you, broken down by what's been received by the Dems, Republicans, unaffiliated, and our minor parties. What's missing there is our 28,000. I have yet to get those reports. They're usually printed about 9 a.m., but yesterday was extremely busy. But you could definitely tell that we are receiving a lot of ballots each and every day. So with that being said, are there any questions?
Commissioner Williams.
I don't have any questions. Thank you very much for all that you do. I just have some comments. It seems to me I saw a little mini traffic jam around Library 21C. Part of the problem is I think that people turn left in different places around that ballot box. So that might be something we might want to watch as it gets closer to Election Day. I did receive my ballot. We had a small issue with the post office, but it was just because the guy who was replacing our mailboxes was out of town and his substitute did not do the job. So I was so happy to get my ballot. It is a very, very long ballot. And even I had to stop on some of the questions and find our blue book and look. And the blue book is actually a good source because it shows the whole text of the ballot issue. So one of the ballot questions I saw was, shall election deadlines be shortened? I won't tell you how I voted, but I had to go get my blue book and look and see what that means, because that's all it said, essentially. And so you need to know it's a very, very long ballot. I recommend if you can vote it at home, or at least if you want to vote in person, write down how you're voting. There are several ballot guides available. I won't quote the source I got these from, but on the left-leaning side is exactly what this news reporter said. You have the League of Women Voters, and then you also have the Denver Post and the Gazette did one. There's a New Era Colorado, Centennial Institute, Common Sense Institute, and the Gazette. I think that covers all of the different ranges of voter guides if you want to look at voter guides, but it is a long ballot. I would strongly recommend that you don't leave it until the very end because you will be struggling with some of those questions. And we've already got our ballot recommendations all marked up for when our neighbors call, which usually starts happening in about 5 days. And so we've got that all ready to talk to them about all the issues, but it's a very long ballot, and so you need to be ready if you want to vote on every issue.
Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All right, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being here, and please do thank your staff for all the hard work that they are doing.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do not see any other countywide elected officials, and it doesn't seem that there are any online, so we will go ahead and bring it up here for our commissioner comments and liaison reports, starting with Commissioner Williams.
Yes, I have a few meetings this week. I did not bring my calendar down, but I think I remember most of them. We do have tomorrow, we have our Regional Opioid Council. I have on Thursday evening several events, but one which will be interesting is that Commissioner Gonzalez and I are going to go and speak at the UCCS College Republicans/Democrats about what commissioners do. And that will be very enjoyable. And so those are the two main items I remember on my calendar, and I'm looking forward to several other events this week and just enjoying the meetings that I am at and attending. Thank you.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So tomorrow I will be speaking at the Mayor's Civic Leadership Forum. That'll be at 10 o'clock. And then tomorrow afternoon, I will be participating in the Airport Advisory Commission meeting. Then we go back to a BOCC meeting, land use, on Thursday morning. Also, over on Friday, there is Action Colorado, a group that represents 22 counties in the southeast part of Colorado Springs, and I'm the voting member for El Paso County on that board. I'll be participating in their annual meeting on Friday, perhaps not all of it, but for most of it. And then next week, I believe in the middle of the day, we have the Workforce Consortium Board meeting that is going to deal with workforce issues. And then we're back to our BOCC meeting next Tuesday. Thank you.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Tomorrow morning, got the Board of Health meeting, and then Thursday evening, as was mentioned, be participating at the I think it's the Hibble Center down at UCCS with the College Republican and Democrats. Thank you.
Vice Chair Bremer.
Yes, thank you. I had the pleasure and honor last night to welcome over 40 El Paso County citizens to Citizens College. Our Citizens Outreach Group, the COG of volunteers, has done a wonderful job of putting together a great curriculum and advertising that, getting it out to the community. And I'm very impressed with, this room was filled last night with people eager to learn how county government works and to learn all the nitty-gritty details that people wonder how things actually happen and occur here. But it was just really great to see an enthusiastic group of students willing to give up their evenings every day this week to learn about everything from our jail and criminal justice and DA to public safety, transportation, land use, and what commissioners actually do and what all of our appointees do for them. So what an honor to welcome them last night. That will continue all week, every night this week. And then I believe Commissioner Geithner is wrapping up with them on Saturday afternoon as well. So very dedicated citizens ready to just dig in and find out how the county works for them and how they can get involved. Tomorrow, I too have the Board of Health and then Urban Renewal Authority. We have a land use meeting on Thursday. On Friday, I will be attending a reception for Foster Youth Voices celebration, and then also a workforce development meeting on Monday, as Commissioner Vanderwerf mentioned. Thank you.
And as for me, I have several of the meetings that have already been mentioned, including Opioid Council, but I also have a regional building meeting on Thursday. I also want to thank our staff and those who came out for the Citizen College kickoff last night. And thank you to Vice Chair Bremer for taking on the welcome event. I will be, as she mentioned, doing the closing, but I agree it's very encouraging to see citizens who are coming out and learning really the inner workings of the county. It's the question I know I get asked the most often from citizens is, what do you do as a county commissioner? And so it's great to see people really dig into that, and they will be able to go out and share that information with their friends, families, people that they encounter to help us make sure that as many citizens as possible understand exactly what their county is doing for them. So a huge thank you to staff as well for the work with our wonderful volunteer board who is putting on that Citizen College. I also wanted to mention there have, as one of the library liaisons, I did attend the library meeting last week, and you may have seen a bit of information that there was a vote to close the Rockrimmon Library, and wanted to make sure my colleagues got to hear my perspective on that from attending that meeting. I think there were several things that were mentioned, and some were reported in the media, specifically around this has been a long-standing conversation. It was mentioned that this has been a topic of conversation for 15 years. And so that's a very long time to be considering a change like that at the library. And I have full confidence that board has done a ton of due diligence to really look at what they need to do to serve the citizens of El Paso County and also work within the budget that citizens have given them to work within. So just wanted to share that perspective. Happy to answer any additional questions from any of my colleagues, but as the liaison wanted to report that it seems to be a pretty significant happening. I also just wanted to share a little bit about the Falcon Fall Fest. I actually neglected to mention that in my comments last week. I try to to always share that information about upcoming events. But if Blake is ready, I have a photo I wanted to share. So I want to tell you I represented the Board of County Commissioners well and won the pumpkin carving contest. After 2 years of Sheriff Joe Roybal really taking the stage and doing a phenomenal job, we were able to best him this year. It was a stiff competition. Jeff Crank also participated, as well as the sheriff and my small team. But I have to also give the sheriff a wonderful shout out, because at the end of this contest, and it was a bit chilly, you may remember, on Saturday, we had some numb fingers and some struggles going on. My team was a bit small. My husband was off serving in his drill weekend with the Army, and so I was a little short on help. And at the last minute, when I needed a little bit of extra help to get this thing put together before the time ran out, Sheriff Joe Roybal came on over. Didn't matter that he was on an opposing team, jumped in and helped us get our pumpkin set up. And if that was not just the icing on the cake of the entire event, to see and remember that we're all part of the same team at the county, even when we're having a bit of fun, enjoying some of the holiday festivities. So just wanted to share that and thank Sheriff Roybal in particular. And with that, I've completed my comments here, and I think we are on to item 8.
Item number 8 is community service organization reports, and there are none.
Item 9.
Item number 9 is public comment on items not scheduled on the agenda. This is the public's opportunity to speak on an item that is not scheduled on today's agenda. And Madam Chair, I'm unaware of anyone signing in ahead of time to speak.
Okay, is there anyone here who would like to speak on an item that is not on the agenda? And looks like we have no one online either. Item 10.
Item number 10 is the called up consent calendar, and there are no items called up.
Okay, and it is 9:30. I'm not certain that we have time to get through items both 11 and 12 before we move on to the item that needs to begin by 9:40. So I think we will go ahead and begin item 13A.
Item number 13 is department and committee reports, non-action items. 13A, 2025 budget hearing number 3, budget reports and critical needs and citizen outreach group presentations. Nikki Simmons, Chief Financial Officer.
I just have to say, this is a fine looking bunch of officers
It is.
coming
We
in,
have-
isn't it not?
And we did catch him slightly. We were in between that 9:30 and 9:40 time here, so thanks for flexing with us on that. Ms.
No
Simmons.
problem. I'm glad the Sheriff's Office is just now walking in. Good morning, Commissioners. Nikki Simmons, Chief Financial Officer. We're here today to kick off budget hearing number 3, which is the final day that we're doing critical need presentations. Today, you'll hear from several departments and offices regarding their needs that were placed in the preliminary balanced budget. This is the board's chance to hear that, as well as ask any questions of your elected officials and or department directors. We encourage that open dialogue. Wanted to also point out that we do allow for citizen comment after each presentation so that we can have those comments directly with the presentation that's being given. So if the chair would not mind to see if there's citizen comment after each presentation. And at this point, we don't have any further budget updates, and so feel comfortable moving forward with the critical need presentation. So up first today, we have our Sheriff, Joe Roybal, who will present on behalf of the Sheriff's Office requests.
Yes, thank you. As the sheriff is making his way up, I just have one quick clarification. We have a schedule in front of us today with critical needs presentations. And I already did get a question why certain departments were not included in this schedule. And that is because, can you explain the critical needs request process and the regular budgeting for everyone else who doesn't have one of those?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, so absolutely, Commissioner. Certain departments, so we ask for critical needs from every department and office, and certain departments didn't submit ones, or through the preliminary balanced budget process, we were able to fund things a different way and or withdraw the request. So you're hearing from the departments that are requesting funds within the preliminary balanced budget today. So you are hearing from everybody who has a need requested. That was, if you remember back to the presentation I gave on October 8th, it was about the preliminary balanced budget, and there was a slide where there were needs that were, they were either statutory and or 100% necessary to run the county. Those you won't hear from today, with two exceptions, because those departments were presenting anyway, so they are included in those departments' presentations. And then you are hearing of the ones where we worked on through the budget hearing process with the strategy sessions in order to fund their critical need requests. Does that help answer your question? Thank you. So without any other questions, I will pass it over to our sheriff.
Good morning, Sheriff. You just missed my thanks for your help at the pumpkin carving contest. So sorry you missed that, but welcome this morning. And we're glad to see so many feel very safe this morning.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Honorable Commission. Behind me, you will see some of my staff here. I invited them because this presentation, this ask, is for the men and women behind me. Some of them feel it's very important. They are committed. And this presentation, honestly, is for them. They're my audience today. I'm asking you, but they're my audience because I want them to know that I'm fighting for them. Some of them are on vacation behind me. You see some of them have brought family members because they're off, but this is very important to them, as it is me. This month in October, I celebrated my 29th year here at the Sheriff's Office. I am the most senior badge in the office. I am one of them. And that's the message I have conveyed since day one when I was sworn in as sheriff. We have this slide here, and as you know me, I go off script. This time will be immediately. Here's our strategic plan. This is one of the requirements that the board asks. You see it's simple: community trust, reduce victims, quality service, and legislation. And what I did in developing these, and asked my staff to help develop these are nothing more than my promises to the community when I ran for office. So the staff you see behind me, they are helping me fulfill my promise to the community in public safety. We have this in front of you. I believe you have a printed copy. I won't take the time to read all of them, but community trust the first. Reduce victims. That's important to me. Quality service. That's every day. Every person who works for the office delivers quality service, whether it's a phone call at the front desk, a phone call in the dispatch, the jail, serving our community members. Legislation. My office has been very proactive in legislation, as well as the commission, and we've partnered on several. We will continue to do that. To me, this is the foundation of how we keep our community safe. That's through legislation, that's the laws. Or in the case of Colorado recently, it ties our hands when we're trying to keep the community safe. And that's what we're combating. Last year, I've taken up many members of my office who go and testify. I'm not the expert of all things. I set the expectation, and my staff, they go up, and if I don't testify, they are testifying. Critical needs. Now here's where I'm going to go off script. Commissioners, I asked today for additional critical needs funding, not for myself. I will not seek a dollar personally. As you know, my salary is set by statute. So just to be clear, media watching, community watching, this pay raise is not for me, but for the deputies who keep our community safe. As the duly elected sheriff in a fiscally responsible, Tabor respecting county, I understand how important it is to taxpayers and I use my budget responsibly. In less than 2 years, I have demonstrated responsible spending and squeezed the lemon, per se, when I became sheriff in January of 2023. I cut over $1 million in unnecessary high-level positions, and I reallocated those funding to increase essential services. That bought me 10 deputies. I reallocated 6 to patrol and 4 to jail without increasing the budget by a penny. My office has demonstrated to our community that we provide high-quality customer service every single day. I want to paint the picture of the state of the office when I began my administration, because that's important. The accomplishments that we've made are not because of me. All I've done is set expectations. Where we are today is because of these men and women behind me, and I'm proud of them. Let's talk about jail deaths, the elephant in the room. When I took office in January of 2023, we had just ended a year with the most jail deaths in El Paso County history. 2022 saw 11 jail deaths before I took office. The drastic improvement in reducing those deaths in our jail is because of our change in medical contractor, change in expectation, and the dedication of my staff to ensuring we're doing everything we can to serve the men and women who find themselves incarcerated in our jail, our fellow citizens. Talk about staffing. January 12th, the day before I took office, we had 541 authorized deputy sheriffs, and I was 40 deputy sheriffs down, 40 vacancies, which was not normal. It was normal for law enforcement, not only here locally, but across the nation, to be down that many, and we were no different. When I took office, I was committed. I allocated some resources to recruiting, to hiring, and now I'm asking for some help with retention. We now have 543 sworn deputy sheriffs. In September of 23, we reached fully staffed numbers. Less than 1 year, we overcome that deficit of 40. We've dipped below that because of attrition, but as I stand here today, we are overhired by 1 deputy. We have 543 deputy sheriffs. Nobody else in this region can be proud of that. They can't brag about that. Even our partners, which I won't mention. Why is that significant? That is delivery to the citizens. That provides the quality service that I demand and that our community expects. The last time we were fully staffed, this will paint the picture. The last time we were fully staffed was in January of 2015. 2015, the last time we were fully staffed for this administration. We operated within a deficit for 8 years, a dangerous deficit. That's unacceptable. I demanded that all the deputies become post-certified again, and I believe that's a contributing factor to why we're fully staffed here today. Class 1 peace officers, whether in the jail, at the courthouse, on patrol, in our schools, serving warrants, they're Class 1 peace officers. I believe I'm fully staffed today despite my deputies being grossly underpaid because they feel heard, appreciated, and they have a new sense of pride. We are a sheriff's office in a western state, one of the first 3 chartered back when Colorado was only a territory. That's how far back this office goes. I brought back a sense of culture and heritage to this office. Hiring is very expensive. One recruit costs nearly $8,400 just to put through the academy, give them a uniform, and equip them. Let's retain them. Now let's get to the important part, the salary disparity of our deputies. Undeniably, there's a pay disparity between agencies on the Front Range of Colorado. And my agency comes last. Cassandra, can we put that up, please? I reached out to the FOP and asked for help. Do a staff study on where we fall across the region. And I was surprised to learn we are dead last in comparable agencies. There it is. You see my deputies max out at $92,664. Pueblo County, the next closest, makes more than us. Our partners here locally, Colorado Springs Police Department, just over $100,000. I started off by saying I've been here 29 years. I just celebrated my anniversary this month. I am one of them. My entire career, we have never made what CSPD makes, but yet my deputies are required to patrol areas much larger. They're back up further away than our partners. We operate a jail, which is a tremendous responsibility to serve those community members and ensure their constitutional rights, health, and welfare are protected. They do a phenomenal job. So I'm committed, as I am to the community. I'm committed to my men and women behind me who do this work day in and day out to reduce that gap. Commissioners, I ask you to look behind me at the deputy's uniform here today. After sharing with you the massive, unacceptable pay disparity our agency faces, these men and women do not wake up, don the uniform, and risk their lives because we pay them what they deserve. The men and women you see here today do so because they are proud, they are committed to our culture and our mission, and committed to protecting our community. They miss holidays with their families and work long, exhausting hours because they believe in the work and our mission. I'm asking for an increase of $600,000 to be added to my general fund, and I will match this with $600,000 of PST funds to share this effort equally with you. Help me reduce the wage gap.
We certainly appreciate all of you being here. I do just want to remind you, our standard procedure is that we try to not have cheering and clapping and those things. That's a standard procedure across the board, though we really appreciate our sheriff and everything that he shared. I'm going to ask if there are questions from the commissioners. Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have any questions, just some comments. I greatly appreciate all the great work that's been done and some of the improvements we've been seeing recently. I really feel the being handcuffed, it's, no pun intended, but that the liberals in the state legislature and our governor have placed upon the burden of all law enforcement. And so I greatly appreciate your team's effort and your effort in leading and testifying the last several years, because that's how you do long-term fix some of those issues. And so I appreciate that. And I appreciate all the great work of your team. And this is a very good information. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes, I greatly appreciate all the officers here and the wonderful work you do out on our roads and in our jail, as well as protecting the public safety of our community as a whole. And you do it with pride and with honor and respect. I believe that I don't believe the request. I believe the request is reasonable. Certainly, our people who step out and put their lives on the line every day is a reasonable request, because anytime we've had a deputy, whether it was Micah Flick or the Fountain deputy, the Fountain police officer who died earlier last year, it's very devastating. So thank you for all of you do and all of your service to our community. I appreciate it greatly.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Van der Werf.
And I'll echo the comments of my fellow commissioners. I remain disappointed in certain members of our legislature that seems to continue to want to make it harder and harder and harder for law enforcement to do their job and to do it safely, and also make it harder for our law enforcement officers and the entire staff to do what they want to do, which is keep the community safe. I just remain disappointed in several of the things that happened there. I do want to congratulate you, Sheriff, on getting the Sheriff's Office fully staffed. That is outstanding. That does take some pressure off the others that were there, because you've got a full complement of people. And I do also appreciate, if I heard it correctly, everybody needs to be a Class 1 peace officer. Thank you for that as well. That is also outstanding. And I do actually have a question for Nikki, and maybe she can answer it from up there or she can come down. This request for $600,000, is this in the budget proposals now as part of what the staff is proposing to the Board of County Commissioners?
Commissioner, thank you for the question. Yes, this amount that the sheriff is requesting is included in the preliminary balanced budget. We worked hard with the sheriff's office throughout the year to figure out how much we could support them. And obviously something that administration supports is our public safety. So we made it a priority to get this in that budget.
Thank you very much. Based on that, I just want to, I know that we still have a vote to do on the budget, but I just want to state for the record right now, I'll be supporting that $600,000 for the sheriff's office. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Vice Chair Bremer.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for being here, and to all the men and women who serve our community so well. You know, time and time again, this board has prioritized public safety, but we're not the ones actually doing it. We're hoping we're providing you with the tools and the structure and the support to do your jobs, to do what you've been called and led to do. And the interactions that I have, I see you doing it so well. And in addition to all of the things that we typically think of from our public safety officers, I see you out and about doing the community service pieces of those things, showing up and talking to kids at schools, showing up at neighborhood gatherings, and letting people know how to get in touch with them when they're concerned about an issue. So in addition to what we typically think of as your public safety role, I want to kind of highlight how this your sheriff's office goes above and beyond in really serving our community. And, you know, that's one of our core values here is really customer service. And in your world, every single customer is a citizen or a traveler or anybody who comes into El Paso County. And it's hard to put a dollar value on, it's hard to put a figure on how that is. I'll take a line from a famous advertising commercial: priceless. Priceless. You cannot put a dollar amount on what you all do for our community every day. So thank you very much. And in addition, I mean, you talked about kind of the statutory requirements of running the jail, of doing that well. We've seen incredible improvements there. Thank you for your leadership, Sheriff, on that, and many of the deputies behind you. I understand that, you know, those first recruits, that may be some of their first place that they are placed, and learning from the ground up what a responsibility, what a heavy responsibility that is to run that jail well, and every single deputy counts there. I just want to highlight that piece, but it's also, I believe that, are we still the largest jail in the state?
The largest single jail, correct.
Which is quite an undertaking, with a pretty high percentage occupation census, daily census as well. And so just to take this opportunity, you've highlighted your critical needs and what your staff does, but to pull those strings of quite a few of the details that day in and day out your office is managing, I just want to say thank you. You do it very, very well. I also wanted to thank you and the voters for essentially this $600,000 request that you're making of us, but you are matching it with PSST. And I think that is significant. I think the voters and citizens have said they value public safety. You're doing very well with that, and we are also valuing public safety with your requests here today. Thank you for all you do, each and every one of you, and I look forward to that vote as well.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And I will just add, my colleagues have said it very well, incredibly grateful for your leadership, as well as what each of your deputies and staff members do every single day. You know, I've said before as a military spouse, I'm no stranger to being concerned about my spouse, going to work in a dangerous environment, but it was for a short period of time. And I can't imagine the sacrifice and the just heavy weight that not only do your deputies have to think about every time they walk out the door to work their shift, but also their families. And so absolutely, I think it's incredibly important that that we support each one of those individuals. Being able to be at full staff, I know what that really says about who you are as a leader and how folks feel that that are coming to work for your office. I also want to point out that this board has been consistently incredibly supportive of public safety, as it has been said. And I want your staff to know that I was saddened to find out that we had this pay gap, and was very concerned about that when it was brought to my attention. And I also want to say that unfortunately, the Sheriff's Office declined to participate in a salary study a couple of years ago. This was before Sheriff Roybal took office. And that, unfortunately, is part of the reason I think that this was missed for a little bit of time. And that is not as a result of this board not valuing or not wanting to ensure that we have that kind of appropriate pay and support for the folks here. In the Sheriff's Office. We were able to do that in other areas, particularly around public safety, including the District Attorney's Office, but it created a situation where we were not able to address that earlier, and I'm sorry for that. So though it was, again, not our decision at the time, but I do very much appreciate you advocating for your staff and working with the county to make sure that we are putting those needs absolutely first. So with that, I am also excited to be in support of this in our budget. And I thank you for being here today and bringing this presentation to us.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before I leave, I'd just like to verbalize my thanks and appreciation to Administrator Waters, Ms. Nikki, who helped me with the budget and find a solution to the first step to shortening this gap, and we're going to get there. My recruiter, my full-time recruiting, my hiring manager, my new HR section, we're doing great. They're the reasons why we're fully staffed, and the brave men and women behind me who do the work day in and day out. This is all for them. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Sheriff, for staying at the podium. I've mentioned this before, but I think it's appropriate to mention it again. Having served in the Air Force for 28 years, having been a commander of organizations overseas, having served in combat in Iraq, I was really, really fortunate that all 28 years I never lost anybody on my watch. I had to become a county commissioner for that to happen. So I want to express what my fellow commissioners have expressed, a gratitude to all of you for the very dangerous work that you do. And thank you for that. I've done ride-alongs with you. Those have been really fun. That was a testament to the professionalism that I see in the Sheriff's Office in El Paso County. And I do want to just say, I think at this moment in time, this is the safest boardroom in the country. Thank you very much.
One last thing before I leave. Honorable Commission, I'm working with Mr. Waters. We are going to do a pay study that the office opted out a few years ago, but we're going to catch up. We're going to do that on every position and evaluate every position in the office to make sure we are compensating there fairly. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much. So at this time, as Ms. Simmons suggested, we will take public comment on this presentation. So I'll ask if there's anyone here who would like to speak in the public comment portion of this hearing on this presentation. Now is your opportunity to come forward. Okay, I'm seeing none in the room. Do we have anyone online? Okay, so with that, that is the end of this portion, the sheriff's office specific presentation, and we are a little bit ahead of schedule. Thank you all so much for being here. We are a little bit ahead of schedule, and so we are going to ask Mr. Flucher. And I'm going to look around here. We have a lot of people moving. Oh. Sure, we've had a request for a brief recess, so we will take a brief 5-minute recess. Okay, we're going to call this meeting back to order. We are in the portion of our meeting that is our budget hearing, and we are going to go ahead with the presentation from the assessor's office from Assessor Mark Flucher.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Mark Flucher, County Assessor. This should be brief. Our strategic goal is to provide technological advances to serve the public, improve efficiencies, and reduce costs for the county. Our one critical need request is $150,000 for a parcel layer conversion. To give you a little history, our cadastral maps used to be hand drafted, and in the 90s, a huge project was undertaken to convert those to a GIS system. The technology at the time is no longer valid. It's a dead software language. The company that supports the software quit supporting this language and this software in 2016. What that has done is left our parcel layer at great risk for a security breach and possible data loss. It's one of the most important layers in our GIS system in the county that we have. Our request is to convert that layer to the latest technology called Parcel Fabric. We will have to hire an outside company to assist us in doing this, and that is the request that we have.
Are there any questions from commissioners? Commissioner Williams?
Having just completed, it's always a goal of mine to try and complete that county IT training every year and learning about all the different types of phishing that are not related to actually Commissioner Gonzalez going out to a stream and dropping a poll in, which he's very good at. This is very important to me that we make sure that we are we have our cybersecurity up to date at the county. And so I appreciate you bringing this to our attention, and it's a good critical need to ask about. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate your presentation as well. And it's so important that we protect ourselves from potential cyber attacks. Actually, the ongoing cyber attacks, thousands of them every day, is ongoing now. I do have a question. It's not really related to El Paso County, but maybe in an indirect way. You know, we're very fortunate here in El Paso County to be, you know, relatively well resourced. How in the heck do small counties deal with these issues? How do they gain access to these products?
Typically, they outsource it to a vendor to do the entire maintenance of their GIS system. That causes them to lose some control over it, and they're at the mercy of their vendor to what data they have access to and how quickly it's maintained, whereas we can keep our data as up to date as possible.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, any additional questions from commissioners?
All right, thank
All right,
you.
thank you so much. Appreciate your attention to this item. I too feel strongly about cybersecurity and keeping things up to date, so thank you. So at this time, I will call for any public comment on this presentation. Is there anyone here who would like to speak on the assessor's critical needs presentation? Okay, I see no one in the audience and no one online. Thank you. Okay, trying to get a little bit back on schedule here. It looks like we do have our Citizens Outreach Group representative available. It's good to be just a bit ahead of schedule this morning with very efficient presentations. We really appreciate that. And so our next presentation is going to be from our Citizens Outreach Group. The chair of the Citizens Outreach Group, Rubel Henderson, will present that item.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. All right, so Citizen Outreach Group is, as you guys all know, a citizen advisory board for the county commissioners. And this year, can we flip the next, oh, I've got it right here. Okay, so what we are responsible for is we are tasked with hosting, planning, coordinating the Citizen College, which is actually happening this week. Our first session was last night. And then we also lead the scheduling, planning, and coordination of the community town halls for the county commissioners, which we've been doing this year. And at least once annually, we need to review and assess the progress of the county strategic plan, the activity of the public safety tax, and the county's 5-year financial roadmap, which we have done all of those things this year so far. Admittedly, the COG got to a place where it was difficult to distinguish what value exactly we were adding to the county commissioner, board of county commissioners. And so last year we gathered as a board and began to critically assess what it was we were doing, what impact were we having, et cetera. Meeting with Commissioners Brimmer and Commissioner Geithner, we discussed a lot of what we were doing and what we were hoping to reevaluate, how we were hoping to reevaluate what we were doing. And what we did as a result was that we looked at our mission and our bylaws again to better understand how are we aligning with the strategic objectives of the county. And we went about reorganizing how we were actually delivering our services. Namely, one of the main things that we ultimately did was aligning more closely with the county commissioners and helping to plan the town halls and being more involved there. That was a big piece of that. So we went through and we cut out activities that weren't really adding value to the Board of County Commissioners and made sure that we were doing things that were actually addressing your guys' needs. So that was a big advancement from last year. Obviously, I mentioned in terms of things that we have actually done this year, we are this week executing the Citizen College. And so last night we met here in the Centennial Hall, and we were talking about the CFO. We had, my apologies. We had briefings from the CFO, we had briefings from the Planning Commission, and we were essentially working with the public to help them understand these are the things that the state's responsible for. These are the things that the city is responsible for. And here's what the county does that's unique to all of those things. So really helping to distinguish those. We also had a fun activity where we gave some realistic, meaning details were taken out. Some of the details, key details were taken out, but they were actual situations that the Board of County Commissioners have had to deal with. And we gave it to the public and said, how would you deal with this? 5 of you need to come to an agreement. And there were some very creative answers that came out of that time, but they got an appreciation for, hey, these are some complex scenarios that we have to deal with. So again, we gave real situations that you guys have dealt with, but removed the names of individuals and organizations involved just to make it a little more, at least on paper, generic. But they definitely gained an appreciation. Several comments last night were, hey, this is a lot harder than I thought. And so I think that helped give some appreciation for the complexity of your job. So we also have spent this last summer and spring and summer organizing a number of the town halls. And I think that actually has been one of the great movements within the board, within the COG, is being more involved with those town halls. And I think that has been a resounding success in the public. I've heard a lot of good opinions coming from the public of the commissioners leaving this hall and going out into the public. I think that's been really fantastic. And we've been really pleased to be involved in the planning of those sessions. Are there any questions for me or for the COG?
Commissioner Williams.
Yeah, Mr. Henderson, which commissioner district do you represent?
So I am an at-large, so I
Okay.
do not specifically represent any one commissioner,
All right.
but that's because Mr. Vanderwerf does not like me. Otherwise, I would be representing his district, just to be clear.
And so you do live in Commissioner Vanderwerf's
I do.
district?
I do.
Well, we appreciate all you do. And I won't comment on the other one. I don't know.
I think Commissioner Vanderwerf now has a comment.
I don't know what to say with regard to that, actually. But if I could, I just want to say thanks for the great work that the COG does. And I know you meant that in jest.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
But it's great to see this alignment with the strategic plan. I know that in past years, there'd been, some conversations about what the COG can or should be doing. And it feels to me like it's getting realigned. I think several years ago, like 7 years ago, it did a lot of work about providing citizen recommendations on the county budget. And then when that moved away from that, I think it kind of moved around a little bit as far as, what it could do. I do want to say I'm really thrilled that the Citizen College is back up and running, because there is no doubt that an enormous number of people in the county, but really actually this is true across the country, don't really know what county commissioners do, don't really know what counties do. And it's really important to do what we can to teach our citizens about that. Sometimes I feel like we're a victim of our own success. When a county is really, really well run, it doesn't get into the paper that much, and that actually produces a condition where people don't really hear much about what's going on in the county. Now, it's notwithstanding that we've got a great PIO office and doing a bunch of great work there, but really, I think the comment about when it leads seems to be true. So sometimes it's hard, even when we try very hard, to really get the great things that the county does out into public domain. Citizens College is clearly a place where we can do that and help citizens understand their county better. So thanks for doing that alignment and getting that back up and running. And it's my understanding from my colleagues that we've got some great participation in Citizens College this round. Thank you.
We do. Thank you. And for forum outside of this, I would really welcome any other comments from any of the county commissioners of things that they would like to see that we could do to help, again, align with your guys' initiatives. So thank you very much.
Vice Chair Bremer.
I'll be super quick and concise. Rubel, thank you for your leadership and your vision. It's a volunteer board. It's one of our many volunteer boards. And I think it was prior to the last year or so, it was really one of the most underutilized boards that we had. And you and with leadership and taking a look at those bylaws and how we could make it an effective use of great volunteer time, you've really elevated what value can be provided from this group. So thank you for being willing to volunteer for what looked like a simple board appointment very early, and then you've really led it into a new era. Great job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll just add, the chair and vice chair are obviously liaisons for the public. I know you obviously know that, but it has been tremendous to watch your leadership and really pulling that board together and moving that board forward. We have so many amazing, talented citizens in our community, and when we invite them to be part of those boards, I really want to see us utilize the abilities that we have. And I think that this is a great example of it. I think it's a great example of how we've really tried to work on improving all of our advisory boards over the last few years, and just your leadership has been tremendous in that. So thank you for, I think really we just needed you in an at-large seat because you're just too talented to only represent District 3. So, but again, thank you for that. Really looking forward to watching the rest of Citizen College unfold, and appreciate you being here and taking time out of your busy schedule, both today for this meeting and also for all the other meetings and time that you are putting into that for the citizens of our community.
Thank you, Commissioner Geithner.
And Commissioner Vanderwerp has one more comment.
Now, wait a minute. So he's too talented. You're really giving him a big ego now. So
Thank you for
I demand a pay
representing
raise.
me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and so is there any citizen who wishes to speak on this presentation? Seeing no one in the room and no one online, I think we have fulfilled the item for the Citizens Outreach Group. And up next, we have Todd Martz with Community Services.
Good morning, Commissioners. I want to thank my management team for all the work and effort, thoughtful process that we went through for these critical needs, and also Brett and Sunny and Nikki, how they've done this process over the last couple of years. It's very organized, thoughtful, and strategic, so appreciate all of that. My presentation today will probably be brief. However, the impact of what we're doing is going to be huge, and so hopefully I can convey that message to all of you on what the impact will be. Our department's strategic plan goals are to complete the El Paso County Parks infrastructure plan and incorporate the capital improvement program into that. It also is to track customer satisfaction at all facilities and maintain a rating of 90%. Our critical needs, there's two of them. The first one is an asset management specialist. One of the things that we realized in the tactical asset management process is that we needed a better assessment. And so this position will help us get that. It will have direct coordination with other departments. It will help us with ongoing management to support the countywide strategic plan and infrastructure objectives. For the strategic plan, we've identified several preliminary action items, and this is one of those that was identified. It's to do a complete assessment of the county park system and formation of an asset management system to integrate with other county asset management system efforts. Outcomes and measurable data results, completing a comprehensive inventory and assessment of parks and community services using CityWorks software to inform management, critical needs, and capital expenditures. One thing I think we've done a great job of is highlighting what our needs are, but we really do need to do that more data-driven, and this is our opportunity to do that. Following DPW's success, one of the measurable data things that we are comfortable with is that with the DPW success, I think we can demonstrate with parks and follow along with what they've done with CityWorks and how they're managing their assets. Critical need number two is project design and construction support. You have been gracious over the years to give us extra forestry money, some money for capital improvements. And one thing that I really have strived to do with my planning division is to make sure that we're doing those things quickly and efficiently. This will also address this objective number one, infrastructure, with asset management and completing projects identified. The demonstrated need and the data. Current projects demand are in excess, which is great, of our Parks Planning Division. There's only 3 employees. DPW engineers help us out, planning works with us, but we really need more of that effort in my shop. And so with stormwater requirements, increasing the impact, professional services to help address this through engineering, permitting, and inspection services. Additionally, due to scope and complexity of projects, engineering and permitting is needed. I have a great team. They're a great small team of 3, but they're limited on how much they can know and serve the county efficiently and wisely. And so when we reach out to professional groups, that will bring that into the process. Some demonstrated need and data. These are just some of the examples of capital projects that could utilize this contracted support. These are current and future. All of these are not funded yet, but I wanted to give a perspective of some of the projects that we would like to do and the diversity of projects that we have. The flood damage with NRCS and the FEMA grants. We need to make sure that we're using that grant money efficiently, and this will help us to do that. The ADA requirements, we're doing that alongside with facilities, but we could use some of that support too. And then we've got all the bathrooms, the pickleball, the ponds. There's all sorts of projects that we've got going on that we could use this project design and construction support. The measurable outcomes. This contracted service, again, will provide the expertise needed to advance these in an efficient manner. I think our taxpayers and our grant money deserves us to get that done quickly. And projects will be completed in a timely manner. And staff can delegate construction support services. I really like this also because it's contracted work, and so it doesn't rely on staff. So if our budget does go down, we could use this money for other items, and we won't be doing as many projects. However, I see great things happen in the Parks Department for the upcoming years. So base budget and critical needs, this is our overall budget, the proposed base budget. And you can see the $250,000 Critical needs request. Two of those things are ongoing, and one of them is for any FTE, its setup time and or cost is about $15,000. So those are my critical need requests. Any questions?
Questions from commissioners? Commissioner Williams?
The household hazardous waste is still primarily based on the tipping fees from the trash companies.
They are.
Okay. And that does a great job.
They do.
I had
They
to
do
go
a
out to
wonderful
Utah
job.
to help my sister clean her house, and there just wasn't quite the place I needed to dispose of her goods.
You know,
So-
with that, Kathy doesn't come to me for any critical needs because of that opportunity with that funding. So
Commissioner Vanderwerf?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So thank you for the presentation. Great, great stuff. We've discussed this briefly before, but it does seem like when we talk about maybe flood damage or water control in our parks and things like that, that a partnership with Fountain Creek Watershed District could be really helpful, particularly if we're really busy doing other projects. I think they'd be willing to actually pursue grant money for them that maybe could be of benefit for county jurisdiction things. And I have been trying here for maybe about 6 months trying to get us to work with them as far as having them do some work on our behalf. That would also be common to what their interests are. And I think there is some commonality in certain instances. And then the other question I have for you is with regard to this extra person, this asset management specialist over in our Department of Public Works. You know, we actually have funded, and they've been using now for a couple of years, an asset management tool. And that's been very helpful for them over there. So hiring a specialist is great, but I think there's something about tools that might also be really helpful and make this work really efficient. And you do have a lot of assets, a lot of things to manage and watch out for and maintain and so forth. So I'd be interested in a little bit more, if you've got some comments right now about an asset management tool, maybe borrowing what DPW has, maybe having your own tool, whatever it is. But I think the tool can really be helpful about improving the efficiency about managing your assets.
it's a great question. And that's something that, you know, it's a little preliminary for me to say exactly what's going to happen, but I can tell you my plan is using CityWorks. And that is a tool that we could go out, my team could go out, they see something wrong with a playground. They enter it into their iPad or their iPhone, it documents that need, and then at the end of the year, I'll have an idea of all of the playground needs that we've got. And it'll be able, that data then can show, okay, this playground here is constantly needing replacement parts. Maybe we should look at replacing that playground. And so it'll help us prioritize better. And I think the CityWorks tool that they use at DPW is exactly what something like that is what we're looking at using.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any additional comments from commissioners or questions? Okay, thank you so much. I'll just
Thank
say
you.
I agree with many of the comments from Commissioner Vanderwerf around utilizing this to really meet those strategic planning objectives of, you know, providing great customer service, but also efficiency and making data-driven decisions. So thank you very much for bringing this forward.
Thank you.
Okay, so at this time, I will call for public comment on this critical needs request. And I am not seeing anyone coming forward in the audience. It does not appear that we have anyone online. Okay, thank you. At this time, we will proceed with the Clerk and Recorder's Office request and presentation by Clerk and Recorder Steve Schleicher.
Good morning, Commissioners. Blake, thank you so much. So I am here today to talk a little bit about the Clerk and Recorder's Office and our 2025 critical needs. So just to share with you, the vision of your clerk's office is to be the trusted source of information and business transaction in all things elections, motor vehicle, recording, and clerk to the Board of County Commissioners. The public is confident in the clerk's office through innovative processes, renowned expertise, and a fully engaged workforce. The mission of the Clerk's and Recorder's Office is to provide services in accordance with Colorado Constitution, our statutes, and legal requirements. So everything that we do is bound by statute in the clerk's offices. So services are delivered in a timely, cost-efficient, accurate, professional, and secure manner with respect and courtesy to the public. So I want to talk to you a little bit about some strategic plan goals for 2025, looking at election integrity and security, improved voter access and engagement, digital transformation and accessibility compliance, motor vehicle department efficiency, staff development and retention, customer experience improvements, and sustainability and operational efficiency. So some of the things that my team and I are going to be looking at in 2025. First, election integrity and security is built upon the election security measures we've been developing since 2023. This includes continuing collaborations with emergency management and expanding training for our staff and also security protocols. Number two, looking forward to 2025, improved voter access and engagement is expand voter education efforts, ensure additional ballot drop boxes and vote centers are optimized based on our 2024 general election experiences. So once we wrap up our November 2024 election, we're going to sit down and go over the good, the bad, and how we could be better. Number three, digital transformation and accessibility compliance is continuing efforts to ensure ADA compliance with digital platforms like Common Look, refining processes for ballot accessibility and statutory requirements, improve or replace existing software to meet accessibility laws more effectively. Going into motor vehicle department efficiency is definitely looking at exploring options to streamline operations, further reduce wait times, and mitigate staff burnout. I'm going to be researching at implementing a 10-hour schedule across departments while maintaining superior service levels. It is a very difficult thing to consider with the Department of Motor Vehicles. You know, if you do it for one department, another department's going to want to do it, but it's something that we're going to research and, you know, talk to my staff about. Addressing bottlenecks in transactions such as personalized plates to enhance customer service experience. So when somebody comes into the DMV and looks for personalized plates, that takes some time, but our greeters are actually probing and asking those questions before they are issued a number through the Q-Flow process. Staff development and retention, I'm all about education. It's continue to provide development paths and training for staff like motor vehicle greeters, my operations coordinators, and looking to move up, focusing on retention and engagement strategies, and incentivize high performances with bonuses or flexible schedules, acknowledging their contributions to the critical operations. Number six, customer experience improvements, expand upon lobby improvements by adding more TV screens, integrating additional communication tools, and I will talk a little bit about that, like average wait time updates, review feedback mechanisms, and find more ways to close the gap between customer expectations and experiences. Then lastly, sustainability and operational efficiency. Examine ways to make my offices more energy efficient. Several of them now during the summer times is the doors are really left open because we are overflowing in our lobbies and we have customers that are sitting on the curbs, or they're sitting in the lobby in the waiting areas, or standing, leaving the doors open where the AC is constantly on at the same time. So I think we can sit there and do a better job there. And possibly look at integrate remote work solutions for several of my departments. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the elections department. As we know, the elections department administers all the elections here in El Paso County, except for the city of Colorado Springs. So as of September 23rd, total registered voters is just shy of 583,000. So that is including our active and inactive voters. 479,175, and as you saw in this morning's presentation, an update of as far as this election, we are just 10,000 more of that in basically matter of several weeks. New registrations processed as of September 23rd, gone up 4%. I'm anticipating another 4% going up as we lead to election day. So here are the ballots processed. For the UOCAVA ballots, we did 5,100 overseas military member ballots. The June 25th, we did 5,294. November 5th is 6,492, and we are processing between 10 and 20 a day for our UOCAVA uniformed military members that are participating. So this number is already archaic because we're sitting there helping them fill out their FCPA, where their ballot is emailed to them and they're able to sit there and vote. Ballots processed. So for the 3 elections here in 2024, right now is just shy of 1.4 million ballots that have been processed, which is the most in the state of Colorado. Elections operating indicators is when we're sitting here talking about the processing of the ballots. I broke it down by each election, and you could definitely see that November we're going to see a significant turnout, as I shared this morning. And looking at, as far as processing, just shy of 800,000 ballots. Here are the operating indicators of number of voters inactivated, canceled, Republican, Democrat, and unaffiliated. So we all know that the Clerk and Recorder's Office is testing, post-election audits, and all canvassing processes for our March 5th presidential primary election, our June 25th state primary election, and we also passed the logic and accuracy test by 100% for the 2024 November election, as I mentioned today. These comprehensive procedures ensures the accuracy, security, and integrity of each one of our elections, demonstrating our continued commitment to upholding the highest standards in the democratic process. And please note that it's not my staff that are doing these audits or these tests. It is our neighbors, our family members, and our friends that are stepping up. And they are bipartisan, either as Republicans, Democrats, unaffiliated, or some of our minor parties. So one thing I also want to share with you, talk to you a little bit about motor vehicle driver's license operations. We are only one of a handful of counties that offers driver's license basically renewals here in El Paso County. Most counties don't deal with driver's licenses where their customers have to go to the Department of Revenue, and they basically have to make an appointment and they wait for a month or 2 months to get into the Department of Revenue. That's something that our customers here do not have to worry about. So motor vehicle services, we do vehicle registration and renewal, title transfers, license plates, temporary permits, office consolidation efforts, just a number of different things, and driver's license renewal and issuance and compliance with state regulations. I will show you is my office is outpacing the state in driver's license renewals by over 35 to 50% each and every month. Here are the transactions that are being processed. So as of October 7th, vehicle registrations, driver's license, title, and renewals processed just shy of 379,000. 79.7 transactions are completed in person. 20.3% transactions are completed online or at the kiosks. And the reason for that is what makes El Paso County extremely unique is we are the only county in the entire nation where we have 5 major military installations. Part of that is our military, they are basically exempt from paying ownership tax. Unfortunately, our military members, our kiosks, do not exempt the ownership tax if they want to go ahead and renew at a kiosk. So unfortunately, they have to either come into the office or come see my motor vehicle manager or myself. That way they are exempt from that ownership tax. Daily, weekly average of transactions per office. And as you can see here, the percentage of business, my 2 biggest hitters is Powers and Union Town Center. They are averaging between 33 to 32% each office. Citizen Service Center is doing 25%, Fort Carson 10%. My Union Town Center branch is averaging over 502 transactions per day. That's just the number of folks that are just walking in there. That's just shy of 2,500 transactions per week. Powers branch is 509 transactions per day, 2,547 transactions per week. Citizen Service Center is 387 transactions per day and 1,933 transactions per week. Fort Carson is 169 transactions per day and 844 transactions per week. Wait times, I could not be more proud of the staff in motor vehicle and driver's licenses. I gave them the goal of getting to 75% or greater in our wait times. And as you will see here, our UTC, which is one of our heavy hitters, the average wait time is just right at 13 minutes. Powers branch, right at 13 minutes. Citizen Service branch, 13 minutes. And the Fort Carson branch, just right at 8 minutes. So they are doing an amazing job getting folks in and out of our lobbies and assisting them. So our peak wait times, of course, early mornings, lunch times, late afternoons. Time to complete most common transactions, which is different from wait times, is about 11 minutes when we're sitting here dealing with, all kinds of registrations, title transfers, mobile homes, tow, all kinds of different things, but I'm extremely happy where we are with wait times and the time to complete most common transactions. Our driver's license operating indicators, in the blue is El Paso County, the red is state of Colorado. Very glaring. And one of the reasons why folks come to the county, we don't set up any kind of appointment. People come on in. In addition, as we're open on Saturdays, where many folks from around other neighboring counties will visit. And if anybody's been there on a Saturday, it is not uncommon to see the line from the main door going about a quarter mile down and looping around Safeway. So that is each and every Saturday that is happening. As you sit there and you look at the wait times, I'm extremely happy with all 4 branches. The kiosk transactions, as you can see here for the year, they are up. But unfortunately, it's something I'm working with ITI to see if we can get those programmed for our active duty service military members. The average title backlog, I'm extremely happy with what we're doing in our operations section. We are averaging 1,677 average title backlogs. And let me explain what that is. You go and buy a car at the dealership and you're on temporary tags and you are waiting for the dealership or the clerk and recorder to sit there and finish that title where you can come in and get your license plate. So historically, we've been about 5,000. I revamped that whole entire process. Today, we're down to 1,677. On Saturdays, we do have filing parties where folks will come into the Powers branch and we'll sit there and work on title backlog. This last Saturday, they did that at the Powers branch and they knocked out over 300. So they're doing an amazing job there as well. Here are some things that I just will allow you guys to read, but here's some of the customer satisfaction, the positive comments. Very rarely will you get a positive comment from customers in regards to motor vehicle, driver's license, but each and every Saturday, I'm there with my staff, holding the door open so I feel like I got promoted, greeting everybody, but these are some of the things that our citizens are sharing. Efficiency, friendly and helpful staff, clear communication. The common themes from our citizens are efficiency and organization, staff attitude, wait time concerns. So the negative feedback around that revolves around longer than expected wait times and the need for more staff during peak periods, and then also technical issues. One thing that many don't know is the county does not own any of the equipment associated with motor vehicle or driver's licenses in any of our branches. That is all owned by the Department of Revenue. And when drives goes down, basically we have zero say-so because that is at a state level. The other thing is, even on Saturdays when drives goes down, guess who's not working? The state. But we are. So we have no support from the state when we are open, but I have an amazing IS team they're there on Saturdays as well, and they are troubleshooting and getting things back up if we go down on the driver's license portion and also on the motor vehicle side. The recording department, the operating indicators, we all know is I'm the custodian of the public record, and over the last several years, recording has been slowing down, but I'm seeing that starting to tick up. And I'm anticipating a 10% increase in recording because they're reducing the the interest rate a little bit, and we're starting to see refinances where folks bought their home at 7% and now they're down to 6%. So we're starting to see that come on in. So here's a number of deeds, liens, marriage licenses, and other legal documents recorded. Percentage of documents recorded electronically versus in person is 15%. I think we can do a lot of work there. And I really want to start looking at in 2025, being able to do marriage licenses online where the folks no longer have to come into the office. Here's where you're looking at as far as the year, total documents, total copies, total marriages. Things are going up. Again, we do probably about 60, 70 marriages each and every Saturday where folks are coming from neighboring counties, things like that. They don't have to set an appointment. The average time to record and return documents is we have that completely revamped. That could be between 1 to 3 business days for electronic submission and 3 to 5 business days for business submissions, which is absolutely amazing because we want to make sure what's going into the record is correct and we're not clouding any titles, you know, just a number of different things. Clerk to the board. I'd like to brag about our clerk to the board here a little bit. So the agenda management as of September 1st, 2024, total number of agendas prepared and distributed on time, 626. Number of resolutions prepared by our clerk to the board, 331. Number of contracts, 106. Liquor licenses, 119. Board of Equalization Appeals, 620. And we all know next year is a reappraisal year. And things are going to shift because historically is during appeals, that was done through the months of May and June. This next year, it's going to be right in the middle of fall and also through our coordinated election. So things are going to be a tad bit busy in the clerk and recorder's office where you're going to have County Board of Equalization, appeals, and also a coordinated election. Total number of abatements is 115, so our clerk to the board stays busy. And I don't think I'm sharing any new news with you commissioners as how busy she is. Here's her operating indicators. In July was way up because she was basically running the County Board of Equalization, and July was the property appeals. So talking about budgetary challenges and constraints. So increased election costs, security and integrity investments, rising personnel costs, mailing and printing expenses, technology upgrades and maintenance, software licenses and upkeep, systems modernization, staffing and retention issues, burnout and turnover, training costs, facility costs. We all know I came before you because the lease at the Union Town Center went up and we went ahead and handled that in 2024. So we also have office improvements, compliance and legal requirements, accessibility compliance, mandated services. So not only is my office mandated by statute, it's also mandated by Secretary of State rules when it comes down from for election purposes. However, I see a lot of opportunities. Technology integration, online services expansion, which is something I'm definitely going to be concentrating on in the recording department and also in motor vehicles and also automation. This year, I took advantage of many grant funding through the HAVA grant and state support. A lot of the upgrades that we did this year were provided by grants. So for election security and sustainability initiatives, staff training and development, reaching out, for example, with our local title companies for our recording department and joining in on their training, community engagement and partnership, increased voter education and engagement. We've done an amazing job on that. Data-driven decision-making, analyzing customer feedback, and monitoring transaction volumes throughout each and every week and each and every month. Here are some of the office wins. Successful pre- and post-election audits, which is significant, and enhanced voter access by opening 38 VSPCs and also installing 3 additional ballot boxes. We have reduced wait times in all of our offices, but most importantly in driver's license and motor vehicle. Recognition for operational excellence, positive feedback from our citizens, and the highest customer satisfaction in our DMV services. Staff morale and development, employee recognition and retention, and career advancement opportunities. So what I would like to talk to you about first and foremost is our first critical need is increased postage cost. And I would like to thank Nikki and her team. is what we're looking at is an additional $182,000 added to our mail line. We did reduce this by 45% because the new elections reimbursement law that changed this year is the Secretary of State has to reimburse 45% of the total election cost. So with Nikki and her team, we sat down and we looked at that and we removed that out of there. So looking at the increased postage cost, of course, we're seeing rising volume of mailings, ensuring election integrity and compliance, because if somebody doesn't sign their ballot or their ballot needs to be cured, that mail has to be dated that day that ballot was processed to get that out to the voter. Expansions of services and also cost increases. The other thing I also want to look at is $125,000 critical need for online ballot images and ADA accessibility. So historically, the Clerk and Recorder's Office worked with one of our contractors to put ballot images out onto the website for anybody who wanted to sit there and audit this, information and things like that. This was basically done as a favor. There was no contract in place. And when the House bill in regards to the ADA accessibility, I reached out to the current vendor and they're like, we are going down a path that has nothing to do with our business process. We do not want to do this. That put the Clerk and Recorder's Office in a really bad situation. And what it is we had to take down those ballot images because they don't meet the ADA accessibility and we are breaking the law and potentially get the county fined. This is not the election to do that. And what we're looking at is we found a company, their name is Severa. They've already meet the ADA requirements. They're able to put the online images out there in a short time frame. The other thing is they can also do redaction, which took my staff over 3 months to do. We are right now working on the June 25th state primary ballots, where they have already redacted those. We're getting ready to put them out there. But this tool is much better than what our citizens are accustomed to. What our citizens will be able to do is they can actually filter and just say, you know what, I want to review all ballots for who's running in Commissioner District 4. With that query, it will pull up each one of those. In addition to that, something that we are not able to do now is each vote cast record is going to be associated with the ballot, so they can match one for one. So what this does, enhances accuracy in the ballot verification, increased efficiency in election auditing, improved transparency and public confidence, which is something that we all, you as our, the commissioners and also myself have been working on over the last 22 months, basically making our election system almost 100% transparent. And some of the changes that we have made, two of which we have legislators getting ready to run legislation on, saying that each and every county in the state of Colorado needs to do what El Paso County is doing. It complies with election security standards and also scalability for future elections. So just looking at that, the critical needs, of course, the increased postage costs. Some of the things that we're sitting there looking at is we send out those vehicle renewal, registration renewal cards. I made changes to that, which reduced the total mail cost. But one of the things, commissioners, many don't know, is that is not a statutory requirement. That is a courtesy of El Paso County sending those out. We are not required by law. However, there is no doubt in my mind we will see, if we decide not to sit there and send those registration cards out, we will see a lot of delinquent registrations because we've been doing it for so long, and a lot of upset customers because they're so accustomed to getting that reminder of you need to renew your registration. So the increased postage costs, $182,000, and also the online ballot images, the ADA accessibility for $125,000. So with that being said, are there any questions?
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we've been posting the ballots online the last several years. Are Are you able to tell through our system how many residents have actually pulled the information, or is that something that our system can't tell?
So Commissioner, that is a great question. I could tell you how many individuals have signed up to be able to do that. However, our current vendor is not able to sit there and identify how many times they've gone in there, pulled information. It's just a very archaic system where moving forward is we're able to sit there and track every time someone logs in or they share it, just a number of things. But right now, we're not able to pull that, just how many logins have been generated.
And I agree with you in terms of, you talked about this election. Yes, I think there's going to be a lot of scrutiny from all sides on this one. So this one makes sense. I would just say I would come off the board at the end of the year. But for the following year, tracking the data, if it's two people or maybe the year after because of the election, I expect people to look at it and utilize it this year. But the year after, it might be something that's a lot of money. I think it's right to do it this next year. But yeah, if we can track the data to see if it's worth doing it, maybe just during the presidential cycles, because that is a lot of money.
Well, Commissioner, if you're starting to think like me, you might want to send me your counseling bill. So one of the things is definitely talking to Nikki and talking to Brett about this is just the possibility of every 4 years during a presidential election of putting this information out there. I completely agree. It's a significant amount of money. But right now, taking a look is with the new vendor, I will be able to let you know how many people are in there, what they're looking at, how many queries they are doing. And based on that, we can make an informed decision to include, do we just do it every presidential election for our citizens?
Okay, any additional questions from commissioners? Okay, thank you so much
Thank you,
for your
commissioners.
presentation. Appreciate that. So at this point, I'm going to call for any public comment on this presentation. You're here to speak on this presentation. You may come forward now. I don't see anyone in the room, and we do not have anyone online. So at this time, we are very close to our planned break. So I think that we will go ahead. We'll take that just a few minutes early, and we will reconvene at 11:15. This meeting is in recess. Good morning. We're going to call this meeting back to order. We are in the middle of our budget hearing number 3, and we are continuing with the communications department with Vernon Stewart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Honorable Commissioners, I want to appreciate the opportunity to present our 2025 critical needs for the Department of Communications. For the record, Vernon Stewart, Executive Director of Communications. Today's presentation will address essential funding requests that we are aiming to strengthen our department's service quality, ensure compliance, and bolster public trust through strategic enhancements that we will be presenting to you today. So as you can imagine, our department is pretty deeply integrated with our strategic plan. Specifically, two of the objectives are what we're heavily involved in are service quality and community trust. And so as we move forward in this presentation, you'll get an idea as to how we are planning to address the growing demands we propose in transitioning one of the part-time positions that we have in our department to a full-time position, alongside implementing our digital accessibility tools. And these steps are steps that we have identified to be critical in managing the increasing volume and complexity of our core request, as well as the accessibility guidelines that have been passed down to us. These enhancements will also significantly improve our transparency and access to information, thus reinforcing the county's commitment to open communication and fostering public confidence. So our first critical need request is a core specialist. As you can see, we're requesting $52,939. And this request is to transition the part-time communications and open records specialist role from a part-time position to a full-time position to address the significant rise in core requests. This will improve the service efficiency while maintaining statutory compliance, as well as strengthening the community trust through timely and transparent communication. So as you all are pretty well aware, our CORA numbers have significantly increased, 314% to be exact, in the last 5 years. And so in 2019, we had 79 CORAs for that year. And last year, we ended up with 327. And just speaking with our CORA manager this year, we're actually trending above. We initially projected 344 for this year. It looks like we're trending above. We're at 324 as of today. And so by the end of this year, we're predicting to be breaking 400. And just another example, March 2024, we did see 153% increase compared to the March of 2023.
We have a question from Vice Chair Brimmer.
Right here. Thank you, Vernon. So just to clarify, those are core requests for any department in the county, and they all filter through your department, and then regardless of who has the information, get distributed out for the information from there, and your department is coordinating it?
Commissioner, to clarify, those core requests are the core requests that our department handles. There are other departments, specifically some of the elected offices, that have their own person that manages their cores, and so we're not including those numbers.
Okay, thank you.
Also, with the increasing demand, and as you all have seen, the CORA requests are getting more and more complicated. If we get a request early on in the week, if it's a complex CORA, that could take most of the week to do. And with one person, 1.5 people that we've had over the past several months, we're kind of bursting at the seams. And there are a lot of late nights spent by our CORA section in order to kind of maintain proper customer service and ensuring that we meet the deadlines.
We have an additional question from Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. With regard to the 314% rise in requests, is that this from 79 to 327? There we go, 327. I'm sure you keep good records on who makes those requests. Is that something that you could provide, I'd be interested in taking a look at it and seeing if there's any trend in there, or do you have some concept about those trends right now?
Yes, Commissioner, if I could bring Mike Madsen up to the podium, he can address those specifically, but we do a very good job in tracking all of the requests, not only just the numbers, but the types of requests that we get. And Mr. Madsen can add a little bit more on maybe some of those trends.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Mike Madsen, El Paso County Communications Open Records Manager. Commissioner Vanderwerf, thank you for your question. Yes, absolutely. We can certainly put that data together for you. My first question to you would be, how far back would you like us to go with that? We have data going back to, accurately, I'd say about 3-4 years. That first year with the 79, those are that data we'd have to go by back and look at each one of those to pull that, which we could do.
Well, actually, I was just interested in that 327, the 2023 list.
Yeah, understood. I can put the exact numbers together for you. What we saw last year, about 30% of the requests went to our procurement department with finance, with private companies interested in the response to proposals that were submitted by other competitors. We also saw, I don't know the exact percentage, but we saw a large portion of those also go to planning for specifically code enforcement. People asking about properties and records related to properties that they're probably interested in purchasing. Everything from code violations to underground septic tank units, things like that. So those are the most common we get, and would show the largest portion of those requests that we have fulfilled. But to give you those accurate numbers, we will go back and put that data together. I think we actually have it. I'll just not here with us, but I do have that data I can get to all of you.
Okay, great. If you've got it already ready in some kind of a document, spreadsheet or something, that's all I would be interested in.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
Our second critical need request is for website ADA compliance software licenses totaling an amount of $125,859. And so this request is seeking funding to comply with House Bill 21-1110 and the other federal accessibility mandates that have been passed down to us. This request does support tools for document remediation and language inclusion to ensure the county's digital content is accessible to all of our residents. And so, as you can see, part of the objective, some of those numbers there, the total cost of the program that we have implemented as far as accessibility to ensure that we get as close to compliance as possible moving forward and ultimately full compliance.
I do just want to take a second here on this. We've talked about this quite a few times over the last few months. And, you know, the addition of this unfunded mandate, which is what it is from the state, has been very detrimental. We're hearing about the increased costs on this. We know that 125 is just a drop in the bucket on the total cost of this, and we've been hearing about these increased costs. And also, as I'm sure my fellow commissioners have been in pretty much every board that we serve on, every agency has been affected on this. And of course, we want to do our very best to be as accessible as possible for all of our citizens, but the obvious effect of this is a huge cost and less transparency. So though we're talking about critical needs today, I think it's important that our citizens understand the impact of those policies at the state level, and that this is just, you know, that small cost, but we are seeing huge costs, not just here at the county, but across all of the agencies that we often participate. It looks like maybe Commissioner Gonzalez has an additional comment.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I mean, you already touched on it, is the unfunded mandates. We keep talking about this, and this is what we see. State, you know, legislature passing bills that now we have to pay for because of their short-sightedness, even when they receive information. And we mentioned this several weeks ago in terms of, and I think people give examples. I'll give the example again. I was trying to find some information about urban renewal, which I've done for several years, looking at old projects, old meetings, agendas, talking points. The chairman, you know, posted his, I don't know, what do you call him, the Urban Renewal Authority director would post his monthly updates. I went back to look at something last month, so I think this is a great article, in-depth article for newspapers. Just exactly what's happening on this. This is supposed to help. ADA is supposed to help. Well, guess what? They gutted the entire thing. There's just the current agenda, and then they say videos. There's no videos. Everything that was on there, 95% of what was on that website, relevant to agendas and meetings and trying to understand, gone. And that's just one example. This is stuff that's going to be happening through the entirety that was foreseeable. And, the state legislative liberals who want to do this, I get it. We do want to help make things easier for the ADA. But when you start, they're going to charge fines to entities that are not compliant. Charging fines. So guess what? They're all pulling their information. It's dumb, it's short-sighted, and the legislature needs to fix it. Thank you.
Commissioner Williams.
My comment is, in the 24 years I've served in government, this was the biggest hit I have ever seen to transparency in government. Just totally wiped out 25 years of transparency and just said, we're not going to be transparent anymore. And it's been very hard on us. We will continue to be as transparent as possible. But when you have every state government website taking down anything that's 3 months old because the ruling from the state, I assume Attorney General, was, we don't want to get in trouble. It was a huge hit to transparency, just so unfair to voters and to citizens of this state.
Vice Chair Bremer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My colleagues have said it very well, and I actually wrote this down in our previous presentation by the clerk and recorder. He too is experiencing, here we had a great transparent ability for our voters and citizens to look at actual hard copies of the ballots. There was a tremendous amount of time and effort and money put in that, and now it's a bit for naught, but for another investment of making it compliant. And as has been well said here by my colleagues, we have core values here. You know them well. You publicize them very well. And they're strung through everything we do. One is transparency. The other is customer focus, customer service. And we do that through compliance. And all of a sudden, when those two things are competing against each other, we can't provide the best that our citizens deserve. So, thank you for being as compliant as we can, for finding other ways to ensure that we can be. But I fear we're getting to a point where transparency is absolutely at risk, just in our attempts to be compliant. So thank you for coming forward with this. And as Commissioner Geithner said, it's just a tiny, tiny piece. This is just the software licensing to get us there. The future capability that will require more time and investment unless the legislature can have a fix for this. So thanks for bringing this forward.
Yeah, and I'll add one more thing to this because this came up yesterday in our citizen outreach group as well. I mean, we're talking millions and millions and millions of dollars, of taxpayer dollars, that are being spent on this and yet creating less transparency. It is probably, I think, one of the worst mistakes that the state legislature has made. I also hope, again, the media really looks into this, because as every agency is looking at their budget, if you start adding up these amounts, we're going to see just tremendous impact. And again, it's not providing value to citizens. It's doing the opposite for our citizens. And it's truly frustrating. And I want to say, too, that this was not an unintended consequence that was not foreseeable. I know that counties specifically organized and went up and testified on this and said over and over again, let us tell you what the actual result is going to be of passing this bill. And the sponsor didn't care, and the members who sat there and passed this bill out of committee did not care, even with this information. They were so fixated on passing it that they did not hear the consequences well, they heard the consequences, they did not heed the consequences. And as a result, here we are with a tremendous impact to all of our residents, both financially and also in transparency. And I do hope that our media will cover this in particular. It is incredibly impactful.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just for the record, we have been working very closely with our Government Affairs Office to ensure that these concerns are being brought forward. Our webmaster even accompanied them to Denver for one of those hearings. And so, although this is something that's not within our control at our level, that is something that we have adapted and overcome. And I just wanted to give some big thanks to our County Administrator, Brett Waters, and to our Chief Financial Officer, Nikki Simmons, for helping us get to the point where we're at today and supporting us and providing us the initial resources to kind of get us going down this path. Because we are further along than some of the other cities and counties and governments. And so we have been fortunate to have that support from leadership. So we greatly do appreciate you all's support. Just some additional justification. I don't feel I at this point need to go entirely through this, but 7,210 documents on our website have been identified with 2 or more errors. And so, as you can imagine, that is quite a large number of documents that are not within compliance. And so now that's one of the reasons that we are asking for this document remediation funding in order to help us with those documents. And so with some of the anticipated outcomes that we're anticipating is, of course, improved compliance with the accessibility laws and some of those language concerns, as well as enhancing our service quality with our user experience on our website and also with the metrics tracked through SiteImprove and Google Analytics. And this is our 2025 base budget at $575,384, and with this 2025 critical need request, that'll bring our 2025 proposed balanced budget at $723,948.
Okay, any questions from commissioners or additional comments, as if we didn't comment quite enough on that item that we're all passionate about? Go ahead, Commissioner Williams.
Let's see, I see Natalie there, but is it Samantha? Who's our webmaster?
Yes.
Thank you, Samantha, for all your hard work.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yes, thank you. I won't repeat what my colleague said. I'll just say I agree with it. And then thank you for the great work that you guys do.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Vice Chair Bremer.
Thank you. Your department is completely responsible for being the public face of our county. Our citizens rely on getting the information from you, and you and your staff do a tremendous job of that. I see a few of them here today. Thank you. And then there are a few that our citizens might never see because they're running the technology behind the scenes. But the information and the value that is, and the amount of information that is coming out of your office is quite impressive, in addition to the responsiveness on the core request side and media request side. So thank you very much for upholding professionalism in how you interact with that. And your office does a tremendous amount of work for the entire county.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
One thing I did want to add is just kind of along those lines, Commissioner Bremer, is that the communications department, both the AV section and the strategic communications section, are truly dedicated to a lot of what we do. And so, again, when I mentioned those long nights, it wasn't just the Cora folks. I mean, we're pulling in people from AV, from the strategic communications side, to assist with some of those Coras. And so there's been plenty of Friday nights that several of us were kind of hanging back to assist with getting these Coras finished before deadlines. And so I can't commend them enough. And, I am fortunate to be surrounded by some great consummate professionals in my department.
Fantastic. Thank you so much to you and your team for everything that you do. With that, I will call for public comment on the Communications Department presentation. Is there anyone here who would like to speak on the Communications Department presentation? Seeing none and seeing none online, that concludes the communications department's portion. And we will move on to the Office of Emergency Management with Andrew Nuttbaum.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, Honorable Commissioners. Andrew Nuttbaum, Director of Pikes Peak Office of Emergency Management. Want to just review quickly our goals, strategic plan goals for PPR OEM. These are actually going to be updated. Several of these goals we've hit, including ensuring an effective program integration, as we're now in multiple years of our IGA, so very proud of that. But we continue to maximize our public outreach effectiveness, improve our operational coordination center capabilities, and integrated preparedness planning and revisions to plans and evaluation. I've mentioned this to you all before. Emergency management is a continual process of improvement, and so we work on improving our plans, our capabilities, our operations all of the time. So today have two budget requests that we're putting in. These are both related to the El Paso County Hazmat team. The first one is $25,000 for personal protective equipment. PPE is a vital necessity for our hazardous materials response team. The El Paso County Hazardous Materials Response Team is the DARA for the county and hazardous materials response. PPE in general, the lifetime of it is governed by the NFPA, the National Fire Protection Association. They have standards that we adhere to for the El Paso County Hazmat team. And in general, the lifetime for PPE is about 10 years. And so as we get to that 10-year period, we need to replace that PPE. Usually the 10-year lifespan is due to degradation from use, cleaning, UV, contamination, and just general operational use. Once the 10-year lifespan is done, we're able to use that PPE for training, but for actually field use for responder safety, it's not, we can't use that in the field anymore. So I've asked my team to put together a plan going to update our PPE on a reoccurring basis, so we're not hit with one-time costs as we need to update that PPE. As you see up here, the equipment that will be needed to be upgraded in the next 1 to 2 years are our SCBAs, which are the self-contained breathing apparatus, our bunker gear, which is the protective clothing the hazmat teams wear for flammable liquid response, head protection. These are also for our team and our volunteers, fire and chemical boots, and then flame-resistant gloves. So I'll move on quickly to the next request. This is a request for $150,000 for vehicle upgrades. This is a vehicle upgrade for our light rescue hazmat response truck boxes. So what we're looking at here is currently our lightweight trucks, which are F-250s or 3/4 ton trucks, do not meet the operational requirements for our hazard specialists. We have what is called the Hammer, which is our heavy response rig. That's about 20 years old. And the replacement cost to that is $750,000. So what we're looking at here is going to a system where we have a medium response rig that's more agile. We've been working with Fleet to purchase chassis, so they would be 550 chassis, so they're significant bigger. What that allows us then is to outfit these trucks with large cargo area for more equipment, helps us respond quicker within the community, be more agile, and be able to support our fire districts. Those are the asks here. We feel that this will be a better response for the community to have these medium response rigs instead of having our 250 rigs and then the heavy response rig that at some point would need to be replaced. The other piece to this too is if the chassis on the 550 were to reach their lifetime, we could pull these boxes off and reuse them on additional chassis. So. With that, this would.
If you'll give us just one moment, yes. Commissioner Vanderwerf has a question.
Please. Yes, thank you very much. A very quick question. The 150 for vehicle upgrades, how many trucks?
So yeah, that's 2 trucks. It's $75,000 per vehicle for the boxes and the upgrades. That does not include, so we've already secured the as part of our regular maintenance, upgrading the chassis through fleet. So this would just be to outfit the boxes.
Thank you.
And then a quick review of our operational budget. This is to our hazmat budget, which is in the PPR OEM budget, but would increase it by $150,000, and that's a one-time cost of, $175,000. It would be the one-time cost of $150,000 for the vehicle upgrade, and that is $75,000 per vehicle for the additional cargo box and storage that would be outfitted. And with that, any questions? I've also brought with me Jim Rabitsky, who's one of our hazmat specialists. Hazmat's very specific and technical in its nature, so if you have operational specific questions, I may ask Jim to come up and join us.
Vice Chair Bremer.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you for, finding a way to continue to protect and provide that sense of protection and ability to protect our residents in the most efficient way, and one that is very forward-looking. I love the idea of, when a vehicle has reached its lifetime end, making sure that the very specific components of that are still able to be used on future rigs. That would be, it's just very forward-looking, and I'm not surprised at all, because that is your job, and you do a very, very good job of it. I am appreciative of the efficient way in which you've found to make sure that we have the latest and greatest in an efficient way that will continue to provide value going forward, long after we're all gone.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll make one comment on that too, is that, as we constantly are looking at emerging threats and hazards, one of that we're seeing is lithium-ion batteries and our response. And what this does allow us, instead of going and getting the hammer, the heavy rig vehicle, to actually be able to go out and respond using these medium-sized vehicles, where our 250s just don't have the capabilities to actually help very much, other than supervision.
Additional comments or questions? I do have one. Are you seeing an increase in the issues with those batteries then? Can you give us a picture of what that looks like?
I'm going to bring Jim Rabitsky up to talk about that. We certainly are, and the potential out there too. So it is that, the hazard exists, and then we've got a vulnerability to it, but I'll let Jim speak to that specifically.
Good morning, Jim Rabitsky, El Paso County Hazmat. We have seen a significant uptick in the amount of lithium battery responses just in El Paso County, including Douglas County as well. We have a task force that we do jointly with Colorado Springs Fire Department that does nothing but explore the lithium battery crisis that we're seeing right now. What we're seeing is more of the smaller scooter batteries, by the Amazon's hoverboard or scooter with the smaller battery, and it's the charging that causes these batteries to fail. We actually just went on our first lithium-ion battery call about a month ago, where I responded out to the county to assist a fire agency with a burned-up lithium-ion battery, which we were able to mitigate and get the homeowner connected with a contractor to come dispose of it. But we are seeing an uptick, especially in the city. They are running on them pretty steadily now. So one of our goals was to assist us in these new vehicles, is to outfit them with the lithium-ion response kits, which is specific drums, specific solutions that will neutralize the battery, keep it safe, and hopefully prevent the reignition and thermal runaway that we tend to see in them. So that was one of the big benefits of a little bit, as a medium-duty response truck, to have carry more equipment for that. That's something that we just have to prepare for as we move forward.
Thank you. That's very interesting to hear. And also I'm glad that your team is so on top of making sure that those emerging concerns are, that we're thinking ahead on before we get too far behind that, I also just want to echo, Commissioner Bremer's comments around the efficiency and providing that to our community. I think, there's a theme. You all have sat here through many of these briefings, and our community hopefully is watching these as well and seeing that theme of looking toward paying attention to those life cycles, planning ahead, being proactive versus reactive on ensuring that we have a good, stable plan moving forward to ensure that we are able to respond and provide that customer service. So thank you to you and your team for bringing that forward. And with that, I'll ask for any last minute questions or comments that may have been sparked. Okay. I think if you have nothing further, or do you have any closing comments that you'd like to?
No, thank you for your time.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you so much. And at this time, I will call for any public comment on this presentation. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak on this presentation? I see no one in the room, and we have no one online. So with that, we are going to recess for lunch, and we will come back at 12:45. This meeting is in recess.